Welcome to The Essence, where we have casual conversations with impact leaders, quick pulse checks with no BS.
Today, we're catching up with Krie Lopez, founder and CEO of Messy Bessy.
Simply, which I thought it was, it's not just simply a lack of opportunity. It's not just having no access to work or no access to school, because you can give them that and still they will not thrive.
Hi, Krie. So great to see you. How's it going?
Hi, Christine.
I hope you have a couple of minutes. I wanted to pick your brains on a few things. Welcome to The Essence. Could you tell us in one line what you do and what Messy Bessy is?
Okay, well, thanks, Christine, for having me. In one line, Messy Bessy is a consumer goods business, a green consumer goods business that was established 15 years ago for the sole purpose of providing employment, education, and empowerment are at risk or out of school youth.
I love that. When you started Messy Bessy in 2007, did you envision that you would see Messy Bessy grow into what it is today? What were some of the key challenges that you faced as you scaled the business, your operations, and your impact?
Yeah, well, I think it helped that I was quite naive 15 years ago. I honestly thought it was just going to be like a small mom and pop business. I did not expect it to grow this way. So I'm thankful that we're here right now. Challenges, so many. Running a business in and of itself has a lot of challenges. The industry, the FMCG, the fast moving consumer goods industry is quite cutthroat. And that's why I say I'm naive, because I entered it thinking, this should be okay. And, so running a business there is already difficult. And then you add on this new objective, right, of the goal to uplift these kids out of poverty permanently, which arguably hasn't been done yet, at least in the way we were doing it. So that really was the big challenge for us. But I realized too that by doing that, it also had a lot of kind of invisible profit, I would call it. People in the team had more morale. The brand, of course, got a following because of that. And so, it works both ways.
So your cleaning products are sold across the Philippines, across various national grocery outlets, and many other retail locations. There are actually so few commercial products in the market which really commit to the S in ESG in the way Messy Bessy has. You employ, as you said, at-risk youths in your operations. What are the complexities of working with at-risk youth, and what are some of the ways that you've learned over the years on how best to empower them in their lives?
So I'm glad you used the word complexity, because it is such a complex problem. And I think many social workers kind of skip that part, the complexity of it. What really helped us was coming into the picture, because most of us were and are business people. And so we come into it without any solution at hand. So we try to define the problem first, figure out what is really the problem. When we realized that it was so complex, we looked to the experts. Again, I think it's a very business-minded way of doing it. So we went to these organizations in the US that would use neuroscience and brain scans to figure out, how do you deal with people who went through the trauma of poverty, because poverty is a trauma.
Yes.
So it's not just simply, which I thought it was, it's not just simply a lack of opportunity. It's not just having no access to work or no access to school, because you can give them that and still they will not thrive. Some of them, many of them. And so why is that? And so instead of figuring it out ourselves, we look to the experts, because I know people have been doing this longer than we have, and with a lot more resources than we have. That's how we approached it, at least in terms of the S part.
I think that, as you said, you have to look at it in a holistic way. And I'm glad that, you really did kind of go there and kind of tackle it from that perspective. I want to shift gears now. And I want to ask you actually about your experience as a female founder. What are 3 lessons you've learned that you want to share with another aspiring female founder who is launching her own mission-driven business today?
I always struggle with this question, to be honest, because I think as a founder, and then as a Filipina, as a Philippine founder, you think, it's not an issue here. Again, my naivety, I used to say that before. because, we're in a country where we've had 2 women presidents.
Yes.
We have a lot of female leaders. And so it's so easy, especially if you're privileged, it's so easy to think there's no problem. But in fact, there is. It's seen through my own experience, being mansplained, or having to kind of just nod your head and not speak up. And it's so ingrained that it's so hard to realize that it's there. But of course, it's also seen with our kids in the office. If you look at the statistics, it's typically a Filipino son will have the chance to go to school more than a daughter. And so that's so basic and so intrinsic. And so what I would give advice to female founders is, number one, to be kind of aware and not be so naive and blind to the gender inequality that is really so prevalent right now. And number two, to be yourself. Fantastic now, there's so many women founders, so many women leaders, but I think maybe 20 years ago, Christine, when you were starting your job,
That's true.
it was so automatic for us to try to act like a man, to speak like them, to act like them. But, we have our own brand. Maybe we're more empathetic as leaders, we're more touchy-feely, and it works, and that's the way it is. So I think that's my second advice. Yeah, be a woman, it's okay. Third, I think to also kind of be specific when you hire people, especially in the social impact space. So what we've done, for example, when we know that opportunities are skewed towards males, for example, they have a 70% chance more of getting a job than females do, something like that, then we skew our hiring process and hire 70% women. So kind of be more cognizant of the real data, and then you kind of adjust your program to it as well, just to make sure that you're giving fair chance to the women.
So really be holistic in the way, be inclusive and consider gender in terms of your entire business. So I love that. So how do you define creating an impact? What's the greatest impact that you think you've personally achieved as a founder?
Again, difficult question. But for me, I've been doing this a long time. And for me, impact is, of course, there's the impact of how you impact each life, right, that goes through the program. So we can't discount that. But for me, social impact also goes into, for example, how we have been able to prove that the business can thrive. And in fact, a brand can even be enhanced if and when you do real social good. One way also I measure impact is seeing if are the young adults really lifted out of poverty permanently. As I mentioned earlier, it's not just giving opportunities, but making sure that they're able to stand on their own, alone, without us, permanently for their whole life, and we break the generational cycle of poverty. So it's really intense, but I really think that's where we need to go when we talk about impact.
Amazing. Love that. So what's next for Messy Bessy? What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for you and the team?
Well, we need to kind of recover for the past 3 years. That was the pandemic. Retail has been hit really hard in the Philippines. And so what we're trying to do now is actively looking for a strategic partner to help us scale the business. It's a miracle we've taken it this far the past 15 years, given the resources that we've had. As I mentioned, it's a cutthroat industry. And so we're looking for someone where everything's confidential at this point, but we're looking for someone to help us scale the business. In terms of the social impact, we are continuing it. We have started already through the pandemic partnering with large corporations, kind of encouraging them and begging them to adopt the program that we so meticulously designed in the past 15 years, because it works, and it doesn't cost the company much. In fact, as I mentioned to you, there are invisible profits to it. And so we're crusading now, telling all these companies, look, hire these kids as working students, do it the way we did, which is really not difficult, and imagine the impact we'll make. So we're there too in terms of the impact.
Amazing. Wow. Very exciting times for you, Krie. So our last section, it's going to be a rapid fire question, words I need you to react to, and you will say either overrated or underrated. Okay. Are you ready?
No, but okay.
Social innovation.
Underrated.
Impact.
Underrated.
All right. Well, that's it from us at The Essence. Thanks so much for joining us today, Krie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.